It's the last Friday of the month of September, the year 2024. Good morning. You're watching the first bulletin of the day on TV3 right here on New Day. This bulletin is coming to you live from the news app here at Adesawe Kanda. On DSTV, you're live on channel 279. On Facebook, it's TV3 Ghana. My name is Josh Quinn. Top of the stories this hour. Court denies bail for leading members of Democracy Hub Oliver Beka-Vomawo, Felicity Nelson and 11 others, remanding them for another 2 weeks. Electoral Commission rejects MDC's call for a forensic audit of the voters' register, insisting legal and administrative cleaning mechanisms have not been exhausted. Also coming up this morning, board chair of the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, Alexander Apenyomakin, rejects calls for the resignation of the board, insisting it is a new board. We have details of these and many more coming up in the next 20 minutes. Remember, you can also get interactive with us. Go on to our Facebook platform, we are live TV3 Ghana. And now let's begin from our top story. And leading member of Democracy Hub, Oliver Beka-Vomawo, together with 12 other protesters who took part in the demonstration against Galamsey from September 21 to 23, are remanded into police custody for 2 weeks. The three-day Stop Galamsey Now demo was riddled with chaos and drama, leading to several arrests, which has since generated a public uproar. Lord Edward Sari sat through court proceedings and has reported this.
After missing his first arraignment on day one due to health reasons, Oliver Beka-Vomawo was escorted to the circuit court, limping and frail. Fanny Otu was, however, unable to make it to the court. Oliver's lawyer, Dr. Justice Remsai, argued in court that the police had neglected his client and denied him prompt medical care until he collapsed while in custody. The state proffered 8 counts of offences, including offensive conduct to the breach of peace and stealing, to which he pleaded not guilty. Another protester, Felicity Nelson, had a fatal scare after experiencing an asthmatic attack on Wednesday evening, while another slept on his knees for 2 days due to no space. In his bail application, Dr. Justice Remsai noted that the police's inability to provide adequate care and shelter should be considered in granting all the protesters bail. The lawyers also indicated that the protesters were not being fed, but the prosecution led by Nana Kusakusi opposed the bail application vehemently. She noted that the accused persons were fed with nutritious food from a reputable restaurant. Responding to access to adequate healthcare and space, the prosecution prayed for prison custody for the protesters so they could be appropriately catered for. She again indicated that some of the protesters refused to give their actual names, making it difficult for proper identification and fixed place of abode to be located. After considering the arguments, presiding judge Kwabena Obriabua remanded the protesters to police custody for 2 weeks and ordered the police to ensure they are adequately fed. Paralegal practitioner Martin Pebu expressed disappointment in the court's decision.
I'm extremely shocked that the learned trial judge remanded them. I'm shocked. This case doesn't require a remand. The police didn't make a good case for a remand. I see, you read Oko versus the Republic, the days of Tila J, we do the decision of Oko versus the Republic, then say, yes, the law is alive. In this particular case, what I'm witnessing for, I don't think a good case was made for a remand. As the judge himself accepted, quite a number of the offenses are misdemeanors.
Lawyer Elom Abebio, also known as Ama Governor, who was remanded on Wednesday, was mistakenly added to the protesters who were brought to court and was later escorted back to custody. This brings to 52 the total number of protesters who have been remanded into custody. They are to reappear in court on October 8. Lord Edwasari, TV3 News, Accra.
Free the citizens!
Meanwhile, former Deputy Attorney General Dominic Ayini questioned the legal basis for the judge to deny the protesters' bail when the offense was misdemeanor. He says lawyers for the protesters must seek a review of the decision or they may stay longer in police custody. Take a listen.
The problem is that the court has remanded them for 2 weeks. What their lawyers have, the only window open to their lawyers is to appeal that decision, all right? And if the appeal is rapidly, filed before, let's say, the High Court, and the High Court can, because of the urgency of the matter, determine the appeal within a few days, then they can gain their liberty. Otherwise, they have to be there until they are brought to court at the next hearing date. The judge could have erred, all right, in the application of the law. And I think the judge erred because the evidence was, patently clear that they should be granted bail because these are misdemeanors. Secondly, they have, a fixed place of abode, as their lawyers stated. They are gainfully employed. They are ordinary citizens of this country. Where are they going to run to? In those circumstances, no judge should even, attempt to curtail the liberty of a citizen for 1 hour. So I disagree with the judge, but as to whether the judge is being manipulated, that I cannot, I don't have an opinion to express on that one.
And away from the court, board chair of the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, Alexander Apenyo-Markin, has rejected calls for the resignation of the board, insisting it is a new board. Speaking to the media, he said ECG remains committed to ensuring reforms to improve the financial position of the company following the resignation of the managing director, Samuel Dubig Mahama.
The emergency meeting by the board of the Electricity Company of Ghana was called to appoint an acting managing director following Samuel Dubig Mahama's decision to step down from his position. Addressing the media, board chair of ECG Alexander Apenyo-Markin rejected calls for the resignation of the board, arguing the membership had just been constituted.
There's a new board, and in fact, this is our second meeting. Or let me say, essentially, this is the first meeting of the board. This emergency meeting was the first meeting of the board. When we were sworn in, it was a familiarization. All right, this is the first meeting of the board. So I think that that's a misplaced position taken by him. However, I accept the fact that we must place our shoulders to the wheel for reforms. From outside and coming in, I think that ECG can be very efficient if we subject ourselves to reforms. And reform would involve engaging all stakeholders internally and communicating these to the external stakeholders.
Touching on the financial challenges, the board insisted efforts are underway to return the company to financial viability.
Our financial situation, yes, we wouldn't want to become bankrupt, but we are faced with challenges, and we don't want to give it a one-sided view. It's both sides. We would have to implement the necessary reforms that would make us super efficient, and the cooperation of the public is also essential.
David Asamoah has meanwhile been nominated by the board to act as managing director of ECG, awaiting an official appointment to the position by government.
We are your election command center. Trust us for credible reportage before, during, and after the general elections. And now the Electoral Commission has once again dismissed calls by the National Democratic Congress (NDC) for a forensic audit of the Provisional Voters Register. According to the EC, the legal and administrative mechanisms established to clean the register have not been fully utilized, making a forensic audit unnecessary at this stage. This response was conveyed in a letter addressed to NDC Chairman Johnson Esiedu Nketia following the petition submitted by the party after a demonstration on Tuesday, September 17, 2024. And now a fellow with the Center for Democratic Development, Dr. Osai Kwapon, says, while the EC uses its internal mechanisms to clean up the register, they must also continue to engage the political parties to build trust.
It is only fair that you would allow an exhaustion of those internal administrative and legal processes to be able to take place. I have said that given some of the trust issues that is that is in the atmosphere and surrounds the issue in trying to do some of these things, it presents a challenge. But for me, I have maintained that the forensic audit should be a sort of a last resort after you have gone through other mechanisms to address some of these challenges. Because for me, a forensic audit does suggest that the infractions being detected in the register are very egregious. Whenever I'm not an auditor, but whenever I think of a forensic audit, it just suggests that a greater level of scrutiny is needed to address some of these issues.
Well, if you just tuned in, you are watching the first news bulletin of the day on TV3 with me, George Quinn. We are live on DSTV channel 279. And let's know what you make of stories that have been aired so far. Just go on to our social media platforms, TV3 Ghana. Engage us. We'll surely read them and share them to the rest of the world. And now to road safety-related issues. And speeding accounts for 70% of all road crashes, according to the National Road Safety Authority. And stakeholders are therefore championing the amendment of Road Traffic Regulations 2012 LI 2180 and Road Traffic Act 2004 Act 683, which focus on speed and the development of standards for motorcycle helmets to change the trends. According to latest statistics from the National Road Safety Authority, total accidents recorded from January to August this year accounted for 14,654. Out of this figure, there were 1,614 deaths and 9,947 injuries. The larger concern is how overspeeding is fast becoming the major contributor of road accidents. An amended Road Traffic Regulations 2012 LI 2180 and Road Traffic Act 2004 Act 863 seek to change the trend with focus on speed and the development of standards for motorcycle helmets. The meeting brought stakeholders, including officials from National Road Safety Authority, transport unions, driving institutions, up to speed with the review processes of the Act and regulations currently relayed in Parliament. Director General of the National Road Safety Authority, David Adontin, revealed how the alarming trends of road accidents ought to be curtailed.
We have made some amendments. We have pushed it to Cabinet for Cabinet's approval, but it is not out yet. So it is not too late. Anything we say here, put together, can still be recognized by the Ministry of Transport and forwarded to go and further amend the law. It's about policy, it's about law, and it's about implementation.
Director of Public Affairs of the Motor Transport and Traffic Department of the Police Service, Chief Superintendent Alexander Obin, mentioned that all safety measures will be followed to the latter, soliciting public support.
It gives us much reason to say that we have done well, but we need to do more. And we are encouraged that where we are heading towards, if you invest more and are focused, we will be able to serve Ghanaian public better when it comes to a traffic policing service delivery that we intend to deliver.
The meeting was organized by Legal Resources Center, supported by Bloomberg Initiatives for Global Road Safety Partnership. And now the mortuary workers have temporarily suspended their strike, which left some families stranded for not getting access to the corpse of their deceased relatives. They've given government up to October 9 to address the demands in full to prevent an escalation. Christian Yali spent the day at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and that's father's story.
These bereaved families were denied access to the Kolebu Hospital mortuary on Thursday, leaving them disappointed. Their plans were short-lived as grief swept through their aching hearts. The unexpected happened when the morticians refused to hand over the corpses of their deceased loved ones. After being left unattended to for hours, their last resort was to seek solace under these neem trees. And finally, they left. The morticians were protesting poor working conditions, inadequate safety gears, unpaid salary arrears, and allowances which have accumulated for over 4 years.
We think that our employer has not been truthful and straightforward with us. You go to most of the facilities, you realize that they do not even have a Wellington boot to work to operate. You go to some facilities, even the gloves, they have to buy it themselves. The employer has a responsibility as per the Labour Act stipulate to provide all the equipment and the tools that an employee will need to perform. Another one has to do with arrears of salaries and some allowances that we negotiated in 2020.
After deliberations, the morticians have held their strike in abeyance, giving government 2 weeks to address their concerns.
We are requesting even some financial clearance for our members or some of the mortuary workers or other recruitment to support our staff strength. It is not the government meeting which is triggering this suspension. It is the fact that Ghanaians are requesting and are begging. We are giving government from today up to 9th of October. If they do not address those issues that we have positively presented to their outfits, then we shall trigger that same strike that we are ending now. We'll trigger that strike until further notice.
For the mortuary workers, it is high time their employer placed some respect on the crucial services they provide to prevent distasteful incidents like what happened on Thursday. Christian Yale, TV3 News, Korle Bu Mortuary.
And so the ultimatum is October 9, so we'll be following up on happenings before and after and surely update you in our subsequent bulletins. And now members of the Senior Staff Association of Universities in Ghana say government is yet to invite them for a meeting more than a week after they declared a strike. The association insists they will not call off the strike until government meets their demands, despite the University of Ghana postponing reopening of the 2024-2025 academic year. Evelyn Tengma reports.
The University of Ghana campus on Thursday, September 26, would have been flooded with fresh and continuing students undertaking different activities to start the 2024-2025 academic calendar. But on Thursday morning, the campus was very quiet. School authorities postponed resumption date until further notice owing to the strike by the Senior Staff Association and other union groups. As a result, students' fee payments, course registration, medical examination and hall accommodation have all been affected. Trustee of the Senior Staff Association University of Ghana branch, James Banong Yakubu, says government is yet to meet them.
As we declare strike, we are waiting for government to engage us, to call us and say, okay, we have heard you, let's negotiate or let's sit down and talk. And we haven't heard that.
He insists they will not call off the strike until their demands are met.
We are not calling off the strike until government heed to our demands. And our demands are tier 2, pensions money, we don't deal with it. Vehicle maintenance allowances is in limbo. Some of our seniors are on pension. And if you hear the lump sum they take home, you will cry for workers of the University of Ghana. And it's not because that is what they are entitled to. It is because the government is negligent to react. They don't get the money to do the needed investment for this person to go home and feel safe. And they go home and go and die.
Once what is supposed to have been invested for future return, we don't get it. So our future is untold because we don't know what will happen next.
Some students have also been speaking.
Even yesterday, our Wi-Fi or the internet is not working. Nothing is working.
We're supposed to have a random bed allocation this week for the non-residents so they can get accommodation. Because of the strike, it has been delayed.
Some of the fees that they have paid, that is the residential fees, the school fees itself, is not reflected on their MIS web. And if the fees doesn't reflect on the MIS web, it will hinder you of registering your courses and then subsequently registering for your hall too as well.
Students can only keep their fingers crossed and hope the strike does not prolong. Evelyn Tengma, TV3 News, Accra.
In more news this morning, children aged 6 to 14 will now own Ghana cards starting next month, October 2024. The exercise targeting to register 2.85 million children will be conducted in schools and other designated centers with parental supervision.
12-year-old Aseye is here at the National Identification Authority head office to register for her Ghana card. The minor and many others aged between 6 to 14 are part of the next phase of registration for the national card rolled out by the Identification Authority. Her father is excited about the opportunity for his ward to be enrolled onto the scheme.
The card alone makes me feel that, yes, she's a Ghanaian. It's a good thing. I think going for it will help all our processes wherever we need assistance, where we're supposed to use the card. We'll get access freely and easily.
According to the NIA, the exercise, which begins next month, October 2024, is to close the identification gap in the system. The process, in partnership with the National Health Insurance Scheme and Identity Management Systems, will begin in some schools in 170 selected operational districts for the first phase.
Registration is such that we have to do it in schools, and we ask that with education, parents are involved in the registration. Then the school authorities are also part of the registration, and we are saying that the requirements are basically the birth certificate of the child or a valid passport that the child will have. If the child doesn't have, the parent should be there, or both parents or one should be there to guarantee or vouch for the child. And if the parents are not available, legal guardians or a legal guardian should be present to undergo the registration with the child. And then when you are doing the registration on behalf of the child, or you are vouching for the child, or if even you are not vouching, but once you are a parent, you need to have your Ghana card, and then that Ghana card will be captured as part of the registration of the child.
The authority has expressed confidence in its ability to manage the expanded registration process, having already achieved substantial coverage among those over 15 years old. Piloting of this exercise has already been done in 7 districts across the Greater Accra, the eastern and central regions of the country. The National Identification Authority says it is hoping to register some 2.85 million more children in the next 6 months. Your child's school might be the next bus stop. Grace Hamwajiman, TV3 News, NIA Head Office, Accra.
Well, you're watching the first news bulletin of the day on TV3, and in politics, there's a strong push from the NDC in strongholds of the NPP to have them defy their loyalty for the governing party and choose development and progress with the opposition NDC. In a special operation to sway support from the NPP, the NDC's Deputy National Director of Logistics is affirming the NDC has become the most attractive party for the country's development and growth. And campaigning in Esiakwa of the Ebuakwa South constituency, Amanda Mortuary is urging supporters of the NPP to call their bluff and choose a development-oriented NDC in December. Here's a report by Kamala Kluche. Kamala Kluche is a man on the grounds with Prince Charles following the NDC presidential candidate John Dramani Mahama on his various political tours, and trust him to bring us updates and up to speed on these tours. And that's how we wrap up the morning news. For more news updates, you'd want to log on to our website at 3news.com. Thanks for watching. It's always a pleasure coming your way. In a world where you can be anything, just be kind. It costs nothing to be kind. Have a good morning.